In 1848, Mexico signed away over 500,000 square miles. That single deal expanded the United States by one-third. Mapmakers redrew an entire continent overnight. Most people blame sheer military force. They think American cannons simply overpowered Mexican soldiers. The real collapse happened long before the first shot was fired. Mexico was broken from within. Internal chaos set a trap. Washington merely walked in and sprung it. To understand this disaster, look back to 1821. Mexico finally won independence from Spain. The new nation was geographically massive. It stretched from Central America up into Oregon. Yet its treasury was empty. Decades of war destroyed mines, farms, and trade routes. Political leaders turned on each other immediately. Presidents took power through coups, not peaceful ballots. Governments fell in months. Some lasted only weeks. In 25 years, Mexico had over 40 different governments. Constant power struggles drained every single dollar. Regional generals ignored central commands from Mexico City. Distances were vast. Roads were almost non-existent. The northern frontier was virtually abandoned. Few settlers lived in New Mexico or California. Local communities faced constant raiding. Mexico City could offer no troops or money to protect them. The northern territories grew isolated and resentful. They felt forgotten by their own government. Meanwhile, Washington watched with keen interest. American leaders held a firm belief in manifest destiny. They believed expansion across the continent was inevitable. Texas became the first major flashpoint. To populate Texas, Mexico invited American settlers. Settlers came by the thousands. They quickly outnumbered native residents. When Mexico's centralist leaders tightened control, Texas revolted. Mexico sent its army north under General Antonio López de Santa Anna. At first, Santa Anna appeared unstoppable. In 1836, his forces reached the Alamo, a small mission defended by a group of Texan rebels. For 13 days, the defenders held out against the Mexican army. Among them were figures who would become legendary, including Davy Crockett and William B. Travis. But the defenders were overwhelmed. The Alamo fell. Yet the defeat became a rallying cry. The phrase, "Remember the Alamo," transformed a crushing loss into a symbol of revenge and resistance. Weeks later, Sam Houston's Texan army launched a surprise attack at the Battle of San Jacinto. Santa Anna's forces were defeated, and the Mexican president was captured. Santa Anna was forced to sign an agreement recognizing Texas independence. But Mexico City rejected the agreement. Mexican leaders considered Texas a province in rebellion, not an independent nation. For 10 years, Texas remained an independent republic. During those 10 years, Mexican politics stayed fractured. Coups continued. Distrust deepened. The military was divided among competing warlords. In 1845, the United States annexed Texas. Mexico warned annexation meant war. New American President James Polk wanted far more than Texas. Polk wanted California and New Mexico. He sent a diplomat to offer $30 million. Mexico refused to meet the diplomat. Refusing was politically necessary for Mexican leaders. Any leader seen negotiating with Washington faced immediate overthrow. National pride prevented compromise. Political weakness made diplomacy impossible. Polk decided to trigger a conflict. He sent troops into disputed border territory near the Rio Grande. Mexican forces attacked the troops. Polk declared that American blood was spilled on American soil. Congress declared war in May 1846. Mexico entered the war in total disarray. The army lacked modern weapons, boots, and ammunition. Soldiers went unpaid for months. Officers were chosen for political loyalty, not tactical skill. During the war itself, Mexican politicians kept fighting each other. Coups erupted, even as enemy troops marched inward. One president was overthrown while commanding forces in the field. Generals refused to reinforce rivals on the battlefield. Valuable supplies sat in warehouses while frontline soldiers starved. The Mexican people fought bravely. They defended their cities with incredible courage. Yet courage could not fix systemic political bankruptcy. But while Mexico struggled with political instability, the United States was creating something else, a generation of officers who would shape the future of America. The Mexican-American War was more than a battle for territory. It became the battlefield where many future Civil War commanders cut their teeth, creating the generation of officers who would later fight America's bloodiest war. A young Robert E. Lee served as an Army engineer during the conflict. His ability to survey terrain and identify weaknesses in enemy positions helped General Winfield Scott's army advance toward Mexico City. Another young officer named Ulysses S. Grant fought in several major engagements during the war. He witnessed the realities of combat firsthand and learned the challenges of commanding men under fire. Years later, these two officers would meet again, not as fellow soldiers fighting Mexico, but as commanders leading opposing armies in America's Civil War. Future generals such as Philip Sheridan, George McClellan, and George Meade also gained their first combat experience during this conflict. American armies pushed from multiple directions. One force took Santa Fe without firing a single shot. Local officials surrendered because no help was coming from Mexico City. American naval forces seized ports across California. General Winfield Scott landed at Veracruz. His army marched along the historic path toward the capital. Every step was met with fierce Mexican resistance. Every battle exposed fatal Mexican supply failures. In September 1847, Scott captured Mexico City. American troops raised their flag over the National Palace. Even after losing its capital, Mexico could not easily make peace. There was no stable government left to negotiate. Factions argued while the country remained occupied. Finally, in February 1848, negotiators signed the Treaty of Guadalupe Hidalgo. Mexico surrendered claims to Texas. It ceded Upper California, New Mexico, and parts of surrounding regions. This included modern California, Nevada, and Utah. It included parts of Arizona, Colorado, New Mexico, and Wyoming. In return, the United States paid $15 million. The United States grew by over 500,000 square miles. Mexico lost roughly 50% of its national territory. The loss reshaped the balance of global power forever. The United States gained vast agricultural wealth and harbors. Gold was discovered in California just days before the treaty. That wealth fueled rapid American expansion. For Mexico, the war left deep, psychological and economic scars. But for the United States, the greatest consequence was only beginning. The vast territories gained from Mexico immediately reopened the question America had spent decades trying to avoid. Would slavery expand into the West? The debate ignited fierce political battles, divided Congress, and shattered political compromise. In the years that followed came the Wilmot Proviso, the Compromise of 1850, the Kansas-Nebraska Act, Bleeding Kansas, the Dred Scott Decision, and John Brown's Raid. The land won in Mexico became the battleground over America's future. In trying to fulfill its vision of manifest destiny, the United States had unknowingly taken one more step toward the Civil War. The Mexican-American War didn't just redraw the map of North America. It helped redraw the course of American history.